all your school rugby, all in one place. This is NextGenXV.
Alright guys, welcome to NextGen15. It's been a while, just wanted to wish everybody a happy new year. And normally these videos are done in the earlier part of the year, but with the pandemic over, obviously real world things take over and things get a little bit delayed. But better late than never, and today we are going to be looking at 15 young South African players from the under 18 age group to watch in 2023. If you are new to our channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as bell notification, and as soon as new videos are released, you'll be the first to know. So first up, a caveat of sorts. Just remember, these are 15 players that we personally feel should keep an eye on. There will be honorable mentions as well. Any players left out, don't take it personally. We've missed out on countless SA Schools players before. It's very hard to keep track. There's just so much talent in South Africa, an unbelievable amount of talent in South Africa. One of the strongest, if not the strongest school rugby systems on the planet, whatever our Kiwi brothers want to say to us after December. But that's another story for another day. But anyway, let's get into the list. We're going to start off at fullback with JT Strydom from Outeniqua. Just a massive fan of this guy. I've been watching the Outeniqua team since under 14. I mean, back in those days, they were beating Porus, Affies, all the other big teams by 50 plus points. So very unlucky to lose to Paarl boys. No disgrace there, though. I think it was only by a couple of points. Centenary year at Outeniqua this year, so wishing everybody in the community a happy 100th birthday, one of South Africa's finest institutions, and they are prepared for it this year, guys. They got a team stacked with talent. I'm really excited to see them getting going. JT's just got it all. I think he should be in a shoe-in for the SA Schools team. Someone that's got a boot on him, great vision. I don't know, maybe he ends up playing Flyhalf this year. I just don't have any idea. Last year he was a fullback. A lot of these guys could change positions, guys. It happens every year. But one of the players for me to watch definitely is JT Strydom. In terms of honorable mentions, keep a very close eye on JC Mars from Paarl Boys, absolutely lethal sidestepper. Jody Shambril from Monas, this guy's just got an excellent running game, very pacey. He's got a younger brother at Grey College as well as a Flyhalf, who's a fantastic player, shows you the genetics are there. Gilmer Mento from Bishops is back. Very entertaining player. Where will he play in the back line? I don't know. I think he's very well suited to fullback though. Very pacey, great step. And then Andrew Martins from Glenwood is a real dark horse, guys. Keep a very close eye on him. Then next up we have from Outeniqua again, and don't worry guys, it won't be the whole team made up of Outeniqua players. We got JJ Daters or JJ Daters. I mean, depends on what your language is, I suppose, in terms of pronunciation. But this guy just had a complete breakout season last year. I mean, I was a massive fan of his ability in open play. Very powerful as well. I mean, a lot of these kids, you know, they got an extreme amount of pace, but they don't have the size and the bulk. And that's not, you know, that's not taking anything away from the overall game. But JJ's got it in spades. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got vision, he's got a very underrated rugby IQ. You know, sometimes when you get these wings that have got the pace and have got the size, what they end up doing is they rely too much on the size and just go very direct. He's always looking for the gaps. I think he's going to have a breakout year. Remember the name, that's all I have to say. So in terms of honourable mentions, Jason Hugo from Garsfontein looks like a very solid prospect. Scott Null played a few games for the first team last year as well for Paarl Boys. Martin Botha, very big boy as well. I was delighted to see him in Thailand. Very talented young player. Reminds me a bit of Marcel Muller a little bit, so expect him to end up very much on the top of the try scoring charts come the end of the year probably. Jacques Cloutier from St Andrews, he's a bit of a dark horse. I really like him. I think he's very intelligent. I think St Andrews is going to be absolute fire this year, so just keep a close eye on him. And then Thurlow Prince, he almost didn't make this list because I thought he was in grade 12 last year. Definitely in the running for SA Schools. Oakdale might be a bit overshadowed by Outeniqua in terms of playing personnel this year, but make no mistake, the boys from Riversdale take on all comers. Still a top program. Thurlow's going to be one of the stars there. Again, where will he play? I don't know, but we'll see how the season goes. Then moving on to the left wing, we have Jameel de Jongh. I mean, we're talking about superstars here in terms of the world of schoolboy rugby, and this is up there with the best of them. His brother was absolutely insane last year. I mean, 9 years out of 10, this guy's making the team of the year, but I mean, he just had Jerenza Julius in front of him, unfortunately. But anyway, he's off to the Lions. Talented player, is going to go very far in his career. Jameel, another one that's going to go very far in his career. Outstanding pace, outstanding vision. I think Paarl boys are going to be one of the favourites for the unofficial national title this year. And Jameel's just going to walk into the SA school squad, no doubt about that. In terms of honourable mentions, keep a close eye on Juma Amisi from Rondebosch. I really like the look of him. Hayden Tolmay seems like someone that could play almost anywhere in the back line. Very, very pacey, very skillful player. Malusi Gamede is back from Glenwood. Very good finisher. Maurice Willemse from DHS looks really good as well. And then, of course, Enzo Labuskakni from Paul Jim, who I thought was in grade 12 last year, but appears that he'll have another year. I hear that he might be playing outside centre. I just don't know. Another player that could have made this list in fullback and wing, but I just don't know what his status is right now, guys. I just remember hearing about him as a youngster, Clement Nall from Paul Jim as well. He's not on this list because I just got an idea what's happening with him. But yeah, I mean, Paul Jim again, you know, they're coached by Peter Rousseau, great team, so they're going to be doing great things this year. Can't wait for that Paul derby. I mean, I'm already getting ahead of myself. Anyway, let's move on to the outside centre position. Demitre Erasmus from Garsfontein. Now, if you take a look at last year with Jerenza going viral, you know, the 13 jersey is definitely going to be one that's going to be highly contended this year. Demitre, though, really stands out in terms of his overall playing ability. A lot of guys thought he was in matric last year. He's very advanced in his years. Now, if you think about Michael Damon from Garsfontein in his grade 11 years, surely he did have talent. And there was something special about him. But, I mean, the step up from grade 11 to grade 12, the way these kids adapt is just something else. And I think Demitre is going to definitely be one of the big standouts this year. In terms of honourable mentions, Gino Computer from Strand, I heard that he was moving school. I don't know exactly what's happening there. SA Schools A should be walking into the SA Schools team as well. Yvonne van Wyk from Uffie's heard some great things about him. Ashwin Darmans from Outeniqua, another one to keep an eye out on. James Nero from Durbanville, loved watching him last year. You know, you love watching these youngsters that come from, rugby programs that aren't necessarily the strongest in the country, but they really stand out, and that's really hard to do in that type of environment. I also heard he might be moving school, not 100% sure. I'd like to see these guys stay at their schools, like players like Gino and Nero. I'd love them to stay at their schools and help develop their programs, sort of inspire the next generation of rugby players to come through. Tadiwa Chikotiro, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name there, young man. Excuse my Caucasian genes. But I've had a chance to communicate with him and a couple of other Zimbabwean boys from Kingswood, fantastic players, very talented youngsters. Tadiwa's up there with the best of them. I think clubs from all over the world are going to be after him. He's a very underrated young talent. Expect a breakout year from him. Luanele Gaba from Queens. Last year was all about Mpaka. This year could be Gaba's year to stand out for Queens. Nick Ellison from Bishop's, very intelligent player. You know, Bishop's backline player, it's just in their DNA. Their rugby DNA is open and expansive and intelligent rugby. Nick is going to have a standout year. And then Campbell Riddle from Michael House have had a bare few years, not meant to be an insult to the program, but I mean, they've been overshadowed a bit by Hilton. But if you take a look at some of the talent coming through there, I think this is going to be the start of a good couple of years for them, especially when you take a look at some of their players at junior age group level. Then we move on to the inside centre position, and there's a lot of talented young players to look at here as well, but ultimately I went with Henny Otto from Paul Jim. This was based on a recommendation of a lot of people whose opinion I really highly rate, and I took a look at some of his footage. Looks like a very interesting player. Obviously he had PA van Niekerk in front of him last year as a 12, so it would have been difficult to break into that team for anybody in any way. There's no disgrace not playing first team at a school like Paul Jim in your grade 11 year. I wonder if he's related to the golfer. That would be quite interesting to find out. Let me know in the comments down below. Really looking forward to seeing him play. Now, last year, Jim's team was generational. This year, the pressure is not going to be on the boys as much, and maybe it'll allow them to play a more expansive game, and hopefully there won't be any injury concerns. But Henny is someone that a lot of people are talking about it for good reason, guys, so keep a close eye on him. Honourable mentions, we have Daniel van der Merwe from Paarl boys. I'm hearing great things about him. And Ciso France from Kersney is an absolute machine. Keep a very close eye on him. Very, very powerful player. Speed off the mark's great. I like the look of Benito Guda as well, another player I got to watch in Thailand. Dylan de Klerk from Monument. I mean, Monument just produce outstanding centres all the time, so I don't expect that to be any different. Then Sancho's Diamonds, the twin from Outeniqua. Who knows? I mean, maybe they'll be the starting 12 and 13 for Outeniqua this year. I think it'll be brilliant. I think they have been doing that at a lower age group level with a lot of distinction. Ruben Thompson from Stellenberg, another player I think is really interesting. I'll be Bester from Boland Landbouws, looks like an absolute unit at 12 as well. Keep a close eye on him. And then from Paul Roos, I'm being told by a lot of people, and I've seen a bit of his footage as well, does look like a very exciting player, Kian Edson from Paul Roos. Then we move on to the fly-half position. And geez, guys, I thought last year was completely stacked with fly-halves. Now take a look at this year. It's just absolutely insane. I mean, if you think about the barrenness that's at the top level of Springbok rugby at number 10, and you take a look at some of these juniors coming through, you get quite excited for the future. But it has to be one player only, and despite all the competition, just a very special player, one of the top prospects in the country right now, and that's Carl Smith, guys. From a young age, the Paul Jim youngster's just been absolutely dominant. He played a couple of games on the wing last year when Liam Kuhn was injured. He just took up the role with absolute distinction. Apparently he's a fantastic cricket player as well. Under 13 level leading point scorer at Craven Week, if I recall. But very interesting player to keep a very close eye on. He's going to go so far in the game, but he could choose multiple sports from my understanding. So hopefully he sticks with rugby and we can see him well into the future. There's going to be a lot of honourable mentions, so be patient with me. JT Kapunk from Noordheuvel, think about the level of talent that he's got. Then you got Gabrielson from Garsfontein, absolutely unreal player. Reminds me a lot of Theron Williams in terms of his playing style. I think he might start the season a bit slowly, getting to feel his way around. And I'm telling you, by the end of the season, he'll be an SA Schools contender. I mean, I haven't spoken that much about JT, but anybody that knows school rugby, JT Kapunk, knows this guy's absolutely lethal. Any normal year, he's going to be the guard number 10 to watch. But, Carl's just unbelievable as well. Chris Horak from Hilton, I've been very excited about him for a long time as well. Logan Muller from Framsby, he reminds me of a young Matt Ghetto, definitely one of the most talented players in the Eastern Cape. Jaden Fontaine from Menlo Park, I think he was at Drosty, I think he's moved to Menlo, just correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. Daylon Miners, he was at Greyhouse, a Scrumhalf, moved over to Monument where he'll be playing Flyhalf. He's a shoe-in for the Craven Week side, no doubt about that. Very talented young player, talented from a young age as well. Ian van der Merwe from Grey College, the left footer, very interesting player to keep an eye on as well. Shaiwan Blackenberg, grade 11 last year. I thought he was grade 12. He was just so mature on the field of play. Then in the KZN region, Unati Mlotra, I butchered that, but you know what I'm saying. From Westville. A lot of guys that have got a lot of knowledge in the KZN scene tell me that this is the guy to watch a fly-off in that region. Very exciting. Daniel Larkin from Selborne is another one. My contacts down the Eastern Cape tell me he's one to watch. Really looking forward to seeing him. Then Justin Tattersall from Pretoria Boys looks very talented, guys. A real dark horse. Keep an eye on him. I really like the look of Marcus Strydom from Waterkloof last year. Hearing good things about Mono Pretorius from Paarl Boys as well. And of course, to Jean-Henri from Queens, another one that, the problem with no Grand Coma is that we can't really tell who's grade 12, who's grade 11 last year. It's quite tough. But Hari was someone I thought was a leaver, but he's a stayer, and that bodes well for Queens. Imagine him and Gabe together again this year. That's going to be outstanding to see. Moving on to Scrumhalf, we got Hashim Pead from Bishops. What an outstanding young player this is. Very exciting, sniping runs, an absolute demon on defense, always in his opponent's face. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. He's going to be a breakout this year, guys. Keep a close eye on him. Remember the name, etc., etc. Honourable mentions, Keanu Everson from Monument looks a very solid player. Who can ever forget his side steps last year at Craven Week? What an exciting talent. Jean Lewis from Paarl Boys, I'm massive fan of him as well. I think he's going to have an outstanding season. Hearing good things about Jean-Henri from Porus. Florence and Arcase is back from DHS, looks a very, very interesting player. JT Dupree from Help McCar, I'm hearing fantastic things about him. Tyrone Gombe from Sachs, been watching him from a young age, looks very interesting as well. Thurlon Adams from Borland Landbou is another one I'm hearing great things about. Luke Watt from Hilton and Murray Baker from Marklas, that's going to be a very interesting battle this year. And then of course Dempers Meyer from Marlow, that's another one I'm hearing very good things about, and Marlow are going to be absolutely deadly this year. Keep a close eye on the farm boys, they're going to do some real damage. Number 8 was a tough one, but I had to go with ultimately, and I think it'll be hard for a lot of you to disagree, it had to be JJ Theron from Grey College. A born leader, played under 13 Craven Week for Eastern Province, if I recall. Went over to Grey in his grade 8 year and just been a leader ever since. Obviously, like junior career has been disrupted by COVID quite a bit. But yeah, he's an immense player, very targeted in Thailand for good reason. The teams knew that he was going to be one of the 4 threats to keep an eye out on, and definitely will be in contention for the SA Schools captaincy, in my opinion. Don't want to jinx it, but that's just the way I feel. In terms of honorable mentions, it was really a coin toss between a lot of these guys, in terms of being the number 8 to watch this year. Dwayne Malaba is just an outstanding player. I think he can go all the way in the game, to be honest with you. Dieter Schubert from Avis showed his pedigree last year, man of the match. I think it was at Vilderklave, some outstanding performances. Enzo van Niekerk from Northwood, I'm so excited about this talent, but I just don't know where the heck the kid's playing. I mean, from one minute I hear 8th man, next minute I hear loose, flank, next minute I hear centre. So obviously an outstanding athlete, someone to keep a very close eye on. Then we got Sasha Kadir from Maritzburg. Guys, close eye, this guy's outstanding. He's a very, very special young player. Keep a close eye on him. He's going to be immense this year. Burry van Heerden from Marlow, another outstanding young talent. That Marlow mean machine, class of 2023 is going to be so great to watch. Dylan Fuyun from Monuments, another one to keep a close eye on. You know how big and powerful their loose forwards are. Speaking of big and powerful loose forwards, Hanro Potgieter from Waterkloof is back. Keep a close eye there. Avi Tukwayo from Westville, I'm hearing good things over there as well. And then Aubrey van der Westhuizen from Garsfontein. Now, with the 3 Garsfontein boys, I'll mention giving something away, obviously. I don't know where they're playing within the loose forward trio, guys. This is what I got told. I could be wrong. There could be some guys coming in. So this is just basically information I've been given. And obviously, I watched these boys last year. I think they're very talented. And obviously, last but not least, Sean Skierman from Pretoria Boys. I mean, there's going to be, look at that depth in the North Val in terms of the 8th man position. It's absolutely crazy. Then at number 7, we have Divan Fuller from Paarl Boys. This kid has been famous since 2019 as an under 14 when he did a demolition job on that poor Monument Flyhalf. He showed that it was no fluke. Took the ball with both hands, excuse the pun, last year. And had an immense year. He walks into the SA Schools team. There's no doubt about it. He walks in. You can put his name down. He's honestly one of the most gifted number 7s in recent memory. And a very big and powerful boy. And, it was quite funny seeing him, go around the pitch and do some bone-crunching tackles. And when he stands up, you notice that nobody really, rushes to the teammates' defense or anything like that, and for good reason. I think it's someone you don't want to meet in a dark alley, and certainly, he's got that sort of similar quality to like a Dwayne Vermeulen, geez, listen to me, Dwayne Vermeulen, where he's just got that physical presence and all the rest of it, and any union that signs him is going to be lucky, but I think they're going to have to definitely open up that checkbook to get a player like this. Then, in terms of honorable mentions, again, I've got some great players there. Dewald Gerber, Old Loftus from Outeniqua. I've been watching him since under 14 as well. Absolutely love this player. He's so talented, going to go so far in the game. Great attitude. Part of the SA Schools 8 set up last year. Matt Romeo from Drosty, outstanding young player as well. There's so much depth at loose forward position, but he's definitely up there. Divan Brits from Garsfontein, again, guys, refer back to my previous comment. But yeah, he looks like a very, very interesting prospect. Then you got Dian Senekal from Monument. I'm hearing good things about. Marco Ferreira from Stellenberg. Keegan Scholes from Grey College. He's a very, very tough player. Doesn't stand back for anybody. Yabo Nzamela, highly rated in the KZN region, guys. The guys over there are convinced he's going to be in the SA Schools team this year. Kwezin Lovu from Sax and Letu Wezi from Rondebosch to round off our list. Two southern suburbs boys, no doubt, are going to be doing battle this year. It's going to be very interesting to see. Number 6, we have Jean-Henri Smit from Grey College, son of Philip Smit. And Philip was one of the most underappreciated South African rugby players, in my opinion. I don't think his son's going to have the same problem. I think he's going to have an exceptional career. All the stars are sort of aligned for him. He's going to be part of an exciting team. I know they're they're hurting a little bit after their loss in Thailand. I think it's going to develop their character. I think it was a great character test for them as well. And I think it's going to make them strong as a unit, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this sort of very dynamic and quick, loose four trio that they got over that side. It's going to be very interesting to see this year. Keep a very close eye on him. I know a lot of you guys have seen him play last year. Really, very, very talented player. Strong with the ball in hand. Strong at the breakdown. And an engine for days. That's definitely one of his characteristics. Then in terms of honourable mentions, keep a close eye on Lubbe from Paarl Gym. Again, he could play probably anywhere in the loose trio this year. Jeffwin Wesso, guys, from Outeniqua. I heard he might be playing hooker, and then Nathan Smith might be playing 6. I don't know what's happening there. But this guy, super exciting. Super exciting. I mean, the speed off the mark is just unreal with this kid. I mean, and he plays such an entertaining style of rugby that you're going to remember this name. I mean, he's going to be someone a lot of people are going to talk about this year. Dante Smith from Volcom Gym. Volcom were a bit disappointing last year by their normally high standards. I think they'll do a lot better this year. Jared Dart from Selborne, very talented youngster, is very good at junior age group level as well. Ola Nyali, see, I can get some names done correctly, from Wynberg. Another player, guys, are convinced they're going to be in the SA Schools reckoning. Gideon Barnard from Framsby. Framsby forwards don't stand back for anybody. They got a very strong unit this year. Keep an eye on him. Ulright Ghost from Boland Landbou. Extremely high work rate. Great on the breakdown. Someone to keep an eye on. And then finally, Tristan Arder from Michael. So remember, guys, I told you this is going to be a sort of the phoenix rising from the ashes for Michael, so to speak. I think it's going to be very interesting for them going forward over there. Okay, then we move on to the locks. And first up, we got Ulrich van der Westhuizen. Shouldn't surprise many. Part of the SA Schools setup. Very talented young player from Moners. The Moners forwards are just outstanding players, outstanding characters, great leadership. He exemplifies all of that. It's going to be a massive year for him and the Moners team. Really looking forward to seeing the boys in action. Pin him down right now for an SA School spot. No doubt about that. In terms of honourable mentions, Marco Crinier from Outeniqua, another Outeniqua boy. I mean, I told you this team is stacked this year. He's going to be one of the enforcers over there. Mono Stormforth from Grey looks a very entertaining, enterprising talent. Very strong. I mean, the core strength is unreal. Palat Piri from Rondebosch, very, very talented boy. Keep a close eye on him. Marco Steyn from Paarl Gym. I think he was injured last year, but also, I mean, think about the depth last year that they would have had at lock. You got Slubbert Martins, you got Danio Botha, you've got him, quite a few boys over there, some very talented locks, and I'm hearing that, he's definitely going to be in the SA Schools reckoning. Francois van der Reist from Marlow, part of that Marlow mean machine again. They're just going to be epic this year, guys. I think they're going to tear up the Eastern Cape. Obviously, there'll be a few schools that will want to challenge them, but I think it's going to be a big year for them. Jaco Grobelaar from Fitzgerald Park, one of those small school locks that you should keep a very close eye on. And then finally, Van Heerden Pretorius from Paarl Boys. Again, he could be playing in the back row this year. I'm not 100% sure. Very big and strong boy to keep a very, very close eye on. And number 4, the aforementioned Danio Botha. Danio, outstanding last year, SA Schools A, along with his Paarl Gym lock partner. Definitely going to be part of the SA Schools setup, guys. I think that him and Ulrich will probably be more likely than not the lock pairing for SA Schools this year. Another gym boy with a lot of talent, a lot of heart, excellent work in the line out. Great character. Can't wait to see him play this year. I think it's going to be a very interesting year for Paarl Gym. Then in terms of honourable mentions, Neil Hansen from Paarl Boys, he's a giant. Jesus, kid is big, and he's very physical. Keep a close eye on him. And then Liam Terre-Blanche from Glenwood's also very interesting. I think he's part of the school leadership group as well. Ben Livesey from Kearsley, I think he might just be 2 meters tall. He's a very tall boy, very talented as well. Kearsley's another program to watch this year, guys. The under-16 team was outstanding last year. Most of the team from last year was first team from last year, I believe, was under-17. So they're going to be very interesting. Charles Joubert, another player that you should really keep a very close eye on. From Middelburg, they got a really interesting rugby program building up there. Kutlem Tumukulu from Maritzburg, I mean, I've mentioned him countless times last year. Very, very interesting player. Will be in the SA Schools mix, no doubt about it. And then Valrich Besson, DHS. Just let me know in the comments down below if I got that name right or wrong. Can you imagine being a foreign commentator and coming down to South Africa? Jeez, it must be a nightmare. I mean, I'm South African. Look how I'm doing. Okay, then we move on to Tighthead prop. A lot of competition as always over here, but ultimately had to go with Herman Lubbe from Stellenberg. To be honest with you guys, I was bribed with about 5 cases of beer to include Herman on the list. I'm not going to lie. I'm just joking. Of course, there's a personal joke between myself and a Stellenberg supporter who's been singing Herman's praises non-stop, and I agree with him. I watched him very closely last year, and I'm not sure the person in question wants me to necessarily mention their name, but he knows his stuff about Western Cape rugby, about Stellenberg rugby, and I can't disagree with him. Yeah, Herman's going to be an absolute monster this year. I suppose I should be calling him Herman, right? I mean, you know, being from that part of the world. But yeah, keep a very close eye. I think he's going to be one of the standouts this year, and I think he would definitely challenge for SA Schools colours. In terms of honourable mentions, Erasmus from Grey College, another player I had the pleasure of watching up close. Very, very strong boy. I mean, Grey are producing some outstanding props over the years, and he's definitely going to be part of that stock. Bryce Stockton from Westville, from what I hear, he's over 140 kilograms, guys, at school level. That's just madness. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Bryce in action for Westville. Sia Dube looks very good as well from Glenwood. QAN Claasen's back for Drosty, and then Donovan van Staden from my class is a bit of a dark horse. Hooker, there's definitely some very talented players there, but there should be no surprise to anybody that is definitely going to be Chris Everitt. And you know, he was part of the SA Schools team last year. Him and Ethan Best, Luca Buckus, I mean, they were absolute quality last year. I was shocked when I found out Chris was only grade 11 last year. Showed so much maturity for his age. Honestly, I think it's going to be a massive year for him. You know, most players would feel under pressure in these circumstances, but he's, like I said, he's wise beyond his years, guys. A real leader. He reminds me so much of John Smit. It's almost like a John Smit clone I'm watching over here. So yeah, just keep a very close eye on him, guys. I think he's going to do some special things in the future, but he's definitely got a lot of competition to contend with in the hooking position once he raises through the senior ranks. But a lot of guys, that's what brings out the quality in them. Honourable mentions at hooker, Nathan Smith, I mentioned him before. I don't know if he's going to play 6 or 2 this year. You hear all sorts of rumours. Proper hard man. And, you know, Outeniqua are going to have a big year this year. I'm super excited to watch them. Nicholas from Skalkvrek from Wynberg looks talented. There's a lot of talent in the KZN region as well. Albie Mouton from Maritzburg looks really good. Devin van der Walt was one of the few players from the Kearsley first team last year that stood out. Very tough year for them. Roan Waldman from Outeniqua looks like a very tough player. Keep a close eye on him. Very physical boy. FC van Rooyen from Uffies looks pure quality as well. And then Jean-Henri Skuman from Noordheuvel is definitely going to be knocking on the door for the Lions Craven Week selection. Then we move on to our final position, which is loosehead prop, number 1 position. So, there's a lot of competition here, but we ultimately had to include an Uffies boy that really impressed us last year, and that was Steyn Tritter. You know, he's just got all the attributes and all the qualities you're looking for in a loosehead prop. You know, he's got great size, he's got great physicality, extremely mobile around the pitch. I mean, the first time I saw him, I thought to myself, like, I'm not 100% sure, you know, that this is a prop. He's not exactly built like, you know, like a prop from the old days, like, so to speak. I know modern props are very different these days, but he was scrumming against some massive Tightheads, and I thought to myself, this is going to be a real challenge for the youngster. And he decimated opponents last year. He absolutely dominated a lot of his opponents last year. I think, in my mind, I think he's going to be up there with the best in terms of the front row position, just generally speaking, across 1 to 3, and. I think it's going to be a massive year for Uffies. Their program is just improving in leaps and bounds. They're going to be so interesting in the next couple of years. They're definitely going to be challenging for that number 1 crown. And who knows what happens this year, because they're not playing with a massive amount of expectation. So I think they could do some real damage to the sort of opposition that they're going to be facing. It's going to be a very interesting year, and Steyn is definitely one of the most interesting players that I've seen at Lucid for some time. Then we move on to the honourable mentions. I'll few home from Paarl boys, very close to making this list. Joseph Zulu from Jeppy. I know it's his goal to play SA Schools this year. There's no reason why he couldn't. Piwe Ngobese from DHS, big boy. DHS are going to be very dangerous in the Tight 5 this year, guys. Keep a very close eye. Brandon Fisher from Grey College. I mean, he was outstanding as a lock last year. They've moved him to Loosehead, and he looks fantastic there as well. Very talented young player. Really looking forward to seeing him in action. And, comes from a great family, great background. I think he's got a great future in the game. I can't wait to see him in action. Vian Kun from Durbanville, another guy that looks very interesting. I know it's a smaller school, but, the little bit I did see of him last year, I thought he was very interesting. Then Lite Mpufi from Glenwood, put up a picture of him on Instagram, and there was a couple of guys from the UK that just commented, that's not a schoolboy. That is definitely not a schoolboy. And when you take a look at him first, when you first take a look at this kid, you just think to yourself, like, geez, what are they feeding them then, the KZN? I mean, there must be some good steaks down there. But yeah, he looks very interesting. And then Bonono Jabavu from Hilton, love his energy on the field. Such a positive force in the field, such a character, and you need those in your teams. Amazing Veriwa. Oh, geez, I know this kid, and I'm getting it wrong. From Kingswood. Okay, so he's been extremely unlucky, guys. He just basically barely had he had an under 14 year, and then obviously under 15, under 16, you had the COVID issue, which I wish I hadn't said, because YouTube picks that stuff up in the algorithm. And then he got injured last year with an ACL injury, so he's just been very unlucky. I heard he might be playing hooker this year. I don't know. I like him as a loose head. I just like him in general. I watched footage of him when he was very young, and he was extremely talented and a super smart kid. I mean, the only way I can really describe him is like it's like a front rower's body with the mind of a Flyhalf or centre. It's just watch him and see him play, and I'm sure that you guys understand. I mean, this guy's just he's just going to go so far in the game, and he's got a very, very high rugby IQ. I think he's going to go far in the game, not only in terms of rugby play, but also in terms of like whatever he chooses to go into. He'll deny it, but he's definitely going to coaching or marketing or something like that to do with rugby. He won't leave the industry quickly. Then Gani Tembo, which will be his opposite number at St Andrews. St Andrews versus Kingswood this year is going to be very interesting. They both look very, very good this year. Kingswood have got some special players that have come in, but that'll be an article for another day. Ali Osman Bosch, bit of a cheat here. He is under 19, but I must say that I should have put him on the list last year, but I thought he was under 17. There's just so much confusion going around. So this is just like a tribute to the young man. I think he's going to be Sax captain this year, if I'm not mistaken. I've always liked him as a player. I think he's a fantastic character as well. And, I think Sax is they're going to have to improve this year, and I think they will improve this year under his leadership. Then a bit of a dark horse, someone that I must confess I haven't seen play a lot, but I'm hearing fantastic things about as a youngster named Bradley Maroney from Northcliffe. So, yeah, this is the 15 to watch, guys. We'll be naming our number 1 prospect on Friday. Just want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. I know that they're not as frequent as they used to be, but I'm a very busy man, and I try my best. So, whatever you don't see on here on YouTube, you'll definitely be able to see on our Instagram page, which is just blown up. Thanks so much for the support, and let's look forward to a full and festive 2023 season where we see some great rugby played by some great youngsters, and that's it. Happy 2023, everybody. Cheers. Bye.